assuming you're searching for AMP cost expectations gauge for 2024, 2024, 2025, 2030 and need to know where the cost of AMP will go from now on. We will examine the previous costs of AMP and will figure out what specialists are talking about its future cost activities. If it's not too much trouble, remember that you want to take this forecast and each and every expectation with the aim that this is just the idea of some market master investigators. Also, anticipating something so amazing is totally incomprehensible. Yet, we will make an honest effort. How about we start? As per the most recent information accumulated, the ongoing cost of AMP is $0.78 and AMP is presently positioned #195 in the whole crypto biological system. The core supply of AMP is 42,227,702,186 with a market cap of $331,325.33. With an expansion in its exchanging volume and market cap, the AMP's cost has shown a decent increment of 125% as of now. From most recent 7 days, the AMP was in great vertical pattern and expanded by 1046%. AMP has shown areas of strength for extremely of late, and this could be decent and open door to dive right in and contribute. AMP Value Forecast Mini Computer. Our AMP Forecast Mini Computer utilizes progressed calculations and AI models investigate a huge range of elements, from verifiable value information to showcase feeling, to give an exhaustive expectation of AMP. Essentially input your ideal time span and see the likely anticipated worth of AMP. Our number cruncher will produce an exhaustive rundown of month-to-month cost forecasts. We foresee future AMP cost expectations. AMP conjecture by applying profound man-made brainpower helped specialized examination on the past value information of AMP. We give our all-together greatest verifiable information for the AMP coin, which incorporate numerous boundaries like past value, AMP market cap, AMP volume, and scarcely any more. Assuming you are hoping to put resources into advanced digital forms of money and need great profit from your speculations, try to peruse our expectations. AMP Value Expectation Outline. AMP is expected to arrive at a greatest cost of $168 constantly 2025. The typical extended cost for AMP in 2030 is supposed to be $0.0913, with possible difference somewhere in the range of $0.887 and $0.194. As of the most recent update, AMP is exchanging at around $0.78. Long-haul investigation proposes that AMP cost might actually flunt to $7.97 by 2050. AMP is gauged to arrive at a typical cost of $5.46 toward the finish of 2040. AMP Value Expectation 2024. The cost of AMP is anticipated to reach at least worth of $0.98 in 2024. The AMP cost could arrive at a greatest worth of $0.0114 with the typical exchanging cost of $0.101 all through 2024. AMP Value Expectation 2025. According to the figure and specialized examination, in 2025 the cost of AMP is supposed to reach at least value worth of $1.37. The AMP cost can arrive at a most extreme value worth of $0.0168 with the typical worth of $0.0141. AMP Value Figure for 2026. AMP cost is figured to arrive at a least conceivable degree of $0 in 2026. According to our discoveries, the AMP cost could arrive at a most extreme conceivable degree of $238 with the typical gauge cost of $227. AMP Value Expectation 2027. The cost of 1 AMP is supposed to reach at least degree of $298 in 2027. The AMP cost can arrive at a most extreme degree of $47 with the typical cost of $306 all through 2027. AMP Value Forecast 2028. As per our profound specialized examination on past value information of AMP, in 2028 the cost of AMP is gauged to be at around a base worth of $4.43. The AMP value worth can arrive at a limit of $514 with a typical exchanging worth of $4.58 in USD. AMP Value Expectation 2029. AMP cost is figured to arrive at a most reduced conceivable degree of $624 in 2029. According to our discoveries, the AMP cost could arrive at a greatest conceivable degree of $0.782 with the typical figure cost of $0.647. AMP Value Forecast 2030. As per our profound specialized examination on past value information of AMP, in 2030 the cost of AMP is anticipated to reach at the very least degree of $0.0887. The AMP cost can arrive at a most extreme degree of $0.194 with the typical exchanging cost of $913. AMP Value Conjecture 231. The cost of AMP is anticipated to reach at any rate worth of $1.1303 in 2031. The AMP cost could arrive at a most extreme worth of $1.516 with the typical exchanging cost of $1.1339 all through 2031. AMP value expectation 2032. According to the figure cost and specialized examination, in 2032 the cost of AMP is anticipated to reach at any rate level of $1.18879. The AMP cost can arrive at a most extreme degree of $1.302 with the typical exchanging cost of $946. AMP value forecast 2033. The cost of AMP is anticipated to reach at least degree of $729 in 2033. The AMP cost can arrive at a greatest degree of $261 with the typical cost of $827 all through 2033. AMP value gauge 2040. The reception and true use instances of a cryptographic money are similarly indispensable contemplations. Projects with functional applications and far and wide reception are bound to persevere over the long haul. According to the AMP cost conjecture for 2040, AMP is expected to arrive at a most extreme value worth of $622 in 2040. The base anticipated cost of AMP coin in 2040 is supposed to be around $5 or $6. While the typical cost of the AMP for 2040 is projected to be $546. AMP value figure for 2050. Understanding business sector patterns and feelings is pivotal, however opinion can be flighty. Inspecting current market elements can offer experiences into potential cost developments, however taking into account the more extensive ecosystem is fundamental. In 2050, the most extreme cost of AMP is supposed to reach $797. With a typical exchanging worth of $728. The base cost is projected to be around $691. AMP value gauge facts. How high could AMP at any point go? The typical cost of AMP could go to $101 before the current year's over. Assuming we gauge the 5-year plan, it is assessed that the coin will handily come to the $458 mark. What is the AMP cost today? Today, AMP is exchanging at $now.78 with the market cap of $331.3 of 25 or 33,000. What amount does AMP cost in 2025? The cost of AMP will increment as additional financial backers engage in the venture. In year 2025, AMP will be worth about a normal cost of $141. Is AMP a wise venture? AMP's worth is supposed to keep on extending, as deficiency will in general empower cost rise. If it's not too much trouble, note, there is a gamble to any venture. Simply put resources into what you can achieve prior to arriving at any resolutions and direct the most extreme examination conceivable. What amount will AMP be worth in 2030? As far as value, AMP has a remarkable potential.